And a howdy, howdy, howdy.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome back to SciTrek, your sci-fi TV and movie channel. And welcome back to Stargate Outpost. How you doing, Sarah?
I'm doing good. Looking
Good.
forward to today. Be kind of fun.
We got just some fun stuff to talk about today, y'all. Things that we like to talk about and end up rabbit holing down and talking about just about any other topic we're going to be talking about anyways. We find ourselves here often, so we thought, let's just dive right into the rabbit hole, as you might say. What would and be titled when it finally arrives? I know I saw that little jump for a second. I was like, we're good. Okay, we're good. Howdy, David. Ooh, Stargate Alpha's cool. Alpha Site, I like that one as well. Stargate A New Dawn, based on an amazing and long fan fiction combining SG-1, SG-A, and SG-U.
Cool.
New Dawn sounds too much like Twilight, but I do like the sentiment.
Combine.
But as our buddy Melvin, Mr. Quest over here, just said a second ago, Stargate Future Unknown sounds more like a game title, though. So I'm going to throw a little caveat in here. What should New Stargate be called when it finally arrives is our title, right?
Yep.
Does that mean it has to be a movie or a TV show? It could be a nice video game. Not going to include Timekeepers. We're throwing that thing out into left field. No, we're throwing it out in left field and kicking it while it's down. Sorry. Get out of here, Timekeepers. But if we were going to get like a AAA video game experience, a TV show or a movie, what would y'all want each one of those titled? That way we're thinking about a couple different things and how to approach or how we'd like them to approach bringing a little Stargate back to our screens, you know? I do like TQ Batman's Stargate, New Earth.
Yeah.
Stargate Andromeda, if the new show is set in the Andromeda Galaxy.
Yeah. I think again, there's some timey-wimey things that would have to happen there, right? Because that's like way in the future.
And I don't know, just with Andromeda being as well known of a series as it is, especially in sci-fi circles. I don't know. Kind of thing, same thing with that New Dawn. It's like you're just going against other franchises just a little much. Might be some copyright that you might not be able to cover in some degree there. I'm not sure. Alex said, all I gotta say is where my damn gate spent over half my life loving that show, and nothing has hit the same ever since. We all want it back so bad. This
we do.
Where we holler and say, hey, here are a bunch of suggestions.
Yeah, we'll give you the ideas, you know. And we might not even charge.
SciTrek, more of like a Star Citizen style game. That'd be interesting. Something that'll be good and stand the test of time as well would be really cool. Stargate Exodus Protocol or Stargate Prime. Okay, Stargate Prime sounds cool. Especially if it's based off of have Teal'c lead it. Have Teal'c and Braytak lead the show. They're the first primes. Stargate Prime. And then it also makes sense if you want to put it on Amazon Prime at that point. Nice little double whammy.
Yeah. It's supposed to be MGM Plus, right? If that's going to still be a thing.
Yeah. I don't think they're planning that at all. I think that is something they would really like to have happen and is not necessarily realistic to have happen.
Right.
If they want the show to be successful.
Yeah, they need to put it on Prime.
Where as many eyes can be seen. It's not something to boost your... It's a property that hasn't been tested, you know, in 10 odd years, 10 plus, 13 plus years. That's not something you like try to, hey, come check out our new thing and hopefully you'll like our new show. It's nah. Put that on Amazon Prime. Let people start liking the show. You want to do a spinoff series or a sequel show? then you can place that over there. Yeah.
Maybe you can do that. Chulak would be a good name for like a Jaffa spin-off series or something.
Yeah.
Into like the history of how the Jaffa became the Jaffa. I mean, I guess we kind of know, but to see it,
Yeah.
Or follow Teal'c, like, from the time he was a kid to how he became the Prime and all that stuff would be kind of interesting.
Oh, that'd be okay.
Mm-hmm.
I could almost take that in like flashbacks in the Stargate Prime series or something like that.
Yeah.
No.
No.
If they were gonna do Stargate Chulak, that would be kind of fun. Where when was it David or who was saying not the next generation? That's funny.
Don't need that.
Was it Stargate Ascension? I don't remember who came up with the title last week.
Oh, it was Ascension would be good because it's sort of like the next evolution or whatever. But maybe that would be more for like if you're talking about the ancients.
Yeah, because we were talking about like what a prequel be like for the ancients way back when. Maybe even them fighting with the Ori way back when, and that would be such a perfect title, especially if there was going to be that Ori fight with the Ascension aspect. Chulak, give us like the first Jaffa being taken and being, or the first people being taken to be morphed into Jaffa. Is morph the right term? Evolved into Jaffa. Experimented on to become Jaffa.
Like how did the pouch thing happen?
That'd be a fun way to bring like Nearty into stuff, all kinds of different people. Like that she'd be perfect just to kind of have the sciencey aspect of whatever going on to how do you get a human being to accept an egg pouch of Gua'uld inside of their stomach and then the body evolve around it,
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Stargate effect.
The Tauri reach a new galaxy in which we see the Mass Effect universe. Yes. Please, Ben. I'm
the Stargates just go to the Stargates now just go to other sci-fi franchises. So there's like a BSG, there's a Star Trek.
That would be called Stargate Unlimited right there.
Yeah.
Stargate Unlimited is a good name though. Why not? It just doesn't work timeline-wise. With
you'd have to be traveling not just space but time, I guess, to the different.
Technically, because I guess Mass Effect stuff happens in like 2170 or like 2070, something like that. We could just skip a few years forward and combine the two, but I don't know. Mass Effect would have to have Stargates in it if that were the case.
Yeah.
I do like where your brain's going there, Frank.
The
ARC Initiative. We're just combining all the Brad Wrights. Slidergate. The Anubis Ascendant. Ooh, in that Chulak series, it would be cool to see all the Jaffa having them be, turned into the Jaffa from people.
Right.
But it would also be nice to have like that overarching villainy of the Gua'uld. Surprise. I mean, that's just going to be part of that.
Yeah.
And then the one thorn in their side, Anubis could almost be a good guy in that series because he's messing with all of the system lords and throwing a wrench in what they plan to do and all of that. He would be kind of an anti-hero.
Yeah.
But he would be a good guy against the Gua'uld in that sense, at least back in the day. That would be odd.
Yeah, because the system lords they do work together, I guess we see, but they're all really just trying to outdo each other to be the power in the universe, right? I mean, that's really their goal.
One grasping, yeah.
Stargate Roundtable.
A little King Arthur with it. Bring Merlin or Myrdir, right? That's the name before.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly. Something like that. It was like, okay, whatever, Merlin. So Merlin is just what sticks in my head.
Throw that one out. Keep this one.
Easy to remember one. Yeah.
Celestial Dominion.
Origins.
Can't be Stargate Origins. We already had it. It wasn't great. None of it matters because everything gets underdone anyway. Or
Oh,
gets
yeah. We have to
under
watch that and talk about it.
we
I've
do.
never watched it. So, have you watched it?
So, yeah,
Oh,
just
okay.
just once.
I need to get on that, watch it.
Um,
Huh.
what? Yeah, we should talk about that. Because that'd be
Mhm,
fun. That and then
mhm,
doing a little Infinity would also be a good one.
mhm.
Mirrodin. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Mirrodin. I was like, did I say it right?
whatever.
Some of them. Legacy of the Ancients. See, I like that gig-wise, but like that
Yeah,
Stargate Ascendance or Ascension or whatever.
right.
Like you can just simplify it just a little bit.
Mhm,
But also, we did kind of joke about it last week. What if we did Stargate Ascension or Stargate Ancients or something, along
mhm.
those lines? Does that mess up the SGA, SGU, SG1, SGC, SG? Do we need a different letter to go into something else?
Oh, right, so it's a SG.
We need to
I
think
don't
of
know, I
something.
mean, it can't be really anything else than A because that's what they're called, but,
Yeah.
um
Stargate
I guess if
Avengers.
you left it as, like, Legacy of the Ancients, you could do, like, SGLA or something like that, but then that sounds like it's taking place in Los Angeles, which would be interesting, I guess.
Stargate Los Angeles. Hey, if you want to make it out, I'm not far away.
Yeah.
Hire me, please. Stargate SciTrek made me do it. Uh,
If only we had that power.
if
But
only.
anyway.
We will hypnotize people on stream.
Mhm.
Um, I'll actively hypnotize myself or something like that, and then like have to I'll be snapping one day and just
Mhm.
break out into tears,
Mhm.
not knowing what's going on because I've been hypnotized for months on end or something. I don't know. Stargate, dude.
Isn't that Abydos? It's kinda
Oh, okay. I'm doing movie names. Okay,
eh,
y'all, if you could
um,
specify what you're thinking whenever you type a name, say like
mhm,
movie or TV show or video game, and
mhm.
we'll just play with it and talk about it, huh?
Yeah.
Go down the rabbit hole. And if we're going down the rabbit hole, let us know if we're hot or cold on what rabbit hole you were thinking we were going to go down. And
Mhm,
if cool or good, rabbit hole is right back to where we should.
mhm.
Start digging the hole right back towards the main line tunnel of that
Yeah.
rabbit hole.
Yep. Lots of tunnels. You can get lost in there,
You know, Stargate Lost.
Yeah.
Ooh, the Lost Stargate.
Oh, that would be kind of cool as like maybe like a one-off TV movie or something,
Oh yeah, I was thinking like a little movie or something maybe. But what?
you know?
It sounds cool. What would it be?
Well, what would the story be?
The Lost Stargate. That could be something about the Nox.
Oh, yeah.
Um, just
Mhm,
disappearing Stargates and making them
mhm,
unusable or something like that.
mhm.
I see. I almost said the Last Stargate too, and I was like, that's too much like the Last Starfighter, or the Last Jedi, or
Yeah.
something like that.
Mhm.
Hey, Carol, always Stargate Command. Keep it simple
Right,
and
man.
just
Yeah. That was gonna be a thing, right? Like, they were
yeah, it was
gonna
gonna be
like,
issue
that was
one.
what season 9 or whatever it was supposed to be, but they just went with continuing SG-1, but, yeah.
Yeah,
It's not, like, the most exciting name, but it's kinda like, well, that was gonna be the next step anyway, so what if they actually did it, you know? Yeah.
I mean, why not?
Mhm.
There's Stargate Galactica, Stargate Avatar. The
Yeah.
Stargate. Let's just sit on Stargate Command for a second.
Mhm.
If that was going to be a continuation of SG1,
Right.
would it be best to be another continuation of SG1 instead of trying to like put the SGU or SGA storyline somewhere on there? I mean, maybe SGA and SG1 can correlate pretty easily because Atlantis would possibly, maybe still
Mhm.
be on Earth.
Yeah, we don't know. I mean, Atlantis is well, the last we knew is in San Francisco, right? But it could be anywhere now.
Oh yeah, right offside us,
But
or
yeah.
I mean, put it in the Bermuda Triangle or something.
Yeah. So, I
That
mean,
would
you could do Stargate Command and just sort of Atlantis is a part of that if Atlantis is there, you know? Anyway, the Clone Wars.
Stargate the Clone Wars.
Wormhole Extreme. I was thinking too. Why not do Wormhole Extreme? That'd be a good animated. That'd be a good animated thing.
Literally the question I was going to ask, like
Lower
Decks or what Star Wars Detours was going to be, the old Seth Green show that never ended up happening. That would be perfect for a Wormhole Extreme kind of thing.
Right. Kind of like they did that with Buzz Lightyear, if you remember. They had like a cartoon series, a Buzz Lightyear cartoon series that was like, the show that his doll, his action figure was made about or whatever. Anyway.
You mean the show that I grew up on and loved, and I was so angry whenever they made the Buzz Lightyear movie or Lightyear or whatever, and it was literally they had the perfect storyline to go off of. I don't. I will forever not understand that. Never understand that. It's such a good show. It was
the movie or whatever. Because anyway, I heard all that stuff. I just kind of forgot about it. I should watch it maybe.
Yeah, it's a fun one. That might be a fun little one. Because I might start watching that Lilo and Stitch series again, and just get some of that youthful sci-fi going, as they say. And that would be another really fun one, just to kind of jump in there. That would be a good one to watch right around Toy Story 5 and play with that. Stargate Galaxy Quest or Stargate Spaceballs.
Every sci-fi series, it's a Stargate, whatever that.
Howdy, Peter. How you doing? I do like this idea, and
oh yeah, that would be cool. And that's why it's weird, because there's some tech there that causes anomalies or something.
It'd be kind of perfect. And it'd be easily explainable. It would make sense. There's some kind of fun alliteration. That a hidden ancient base, maybe that is like been converted into Stargate Command outside of Cheyenne Mountain or something like that. And maybe it needed Atlantis to plug in or something for the base to actually operate.
Right, because it's also ancient. I mean, Atlantis is built by the ancients, so maybe it would be like Atlantis would recognize that base or whatever and like connect to it and like turn it all on and everything, and that's kind of how we discover it, maybe.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah. And
there has to be some good alliteration and a title for that. There's got to be something about a triangle and a gate, like the Bermuda. I don't know. I was going to say the gate angle. I'm just adding words and putting them together at this point. Stargate. Sam Altman is calling his AI data center Stargate. Oh, that's true. Yeah. I don't know if I like that. Find a new name. So, Brad Wright, MGM, somebody sue him.
Oh yeah, I remember that. And everybody was like thinking it was cool, like that they have the same name or whatever. But then that's just going to confuse things. I don't know. MGM will sue them now.
Please. 2011 to now. Stargate MGM went bankrupt. Just do the docuseries.
Yeah. Beyond the Gate. Somebody said Beyond the Gate. That would be like the documentary.
Oh, Beyond. Yeah, that would be a really good one.
Documentary.
Ooh. Stargate. Amaraka. Because that was the blue aliens, right?
Oh, is that the fish alien that kidnaps Daniel? Those guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
This one right here. Stargate Farscape. That's
it kind of was Stargate Farscape for a while.
Hey, you know what? Talking about Farscape, these almost look like the little guys that spit the fire from Farscape.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah.
Distant cousins.
Yep.
Stargate McClunky. Yeah, I do just love this design. I wish we would have gotten
Yeah, we
more
should have got some more of those. It would have been interesting.
just continuous aliens. Obviously, we got a bunch of Unis, not a whole bunch of Unis, but
Right.
Unis throughout.
Yeah, it was definitely very like human heavy. I mean, they could have put some more aliens in there. I think it would have been interesting.
I guess Gould and Jaffa are aliens and parasites, and we see a lot of little snakes writhing around throughout the series, but get some aliens. Give us some good stuff. I think SGU was going to really try to do more of that, but never really got it. And SGA, of course, gave us Wraith all the time, so that's
we got some aliens there.
Adjacent enough. Stargate the long fake. Of course.
Echoes of Tomorrow.
Ooh, is there someone say that or?
Yeah. Gig-wise, Stargate, Echoes of Tomorrow. Anyway.
Oh, well, I got Convergence. All three series come together and finally give us closure and make way for the new TV series. Hey, that's not a bad idea. I like that. Oh, there it is. It was just taking a second for me. Cool. Yeah, I like all of these. Oh, y'all don't forget. Is that going to be a TV show, a movie, or a video game?
Yeah, we're throwing things out there.
Because if there was going to,
I'm thinking like movie or like made for TV movie or whatever to kind of kick things off.
Yeah,
but it could also be other spin-off movies or things too.
Like that Ascension or Chulak or something like that. Those would both be really good spin-off series from a mainline series. What about a video game? If we were going to name a video game title, what would be a good way to do that? Because I think a video game would be a good way to, like Timekeepers attempted to.
Right.
So everybody think of anything else that could be a T instead of Timekeepers. We have a new SGT, please. Oh, Sergeant. Whatever. Anyway, I just SGT. ADD. Surprise. If a video game for Stargate were to come out, like a big AAA game type of deal, that would probably be a good area for you to have that away from your SG1, SGAs, and SGU teams. It could be a standalone thing, a little bit more easy.
Right. Just tied in.
Yeah, and kind of like Timekeepers, just have another SG team or have a scientist that worked on Atlantis and got stuck in the Pegasus galaxy while he was on something or while she was over here jumping through the between galaxies. The way station, midway station.
Stargate Midway, that could be interesting. But of course, kind of war, like, because there's Battle of Midway and all that. But
but that would be a good almost if the Wraith did try to. That'd be a good movie where if the Wraith actually like a culmination kind of movie at the end of a Atlantis kind of reboot of some sort, whatever. If that story were to be able to be continued, it would be fun to see that be that Wraith trying to attack Earth.
Right. I mean, that could be a whole game of like your fight. You have to. The point of the game is to keep the Wraith from invading the Milky Way galaxy or whatever.
And the midway point is just it'd be interesting because you
have to fight the giant. How giant their ships are. What are their ships? Their big ships called again? The Wraith.
The Leviathan, their hive ships?
Yeah, the big, huge, when we bring up that graphic, like how huge those ships are. They'd have to build a supergate to fit. I don't know if it would fit through a supergate. It's like so huge compared to an Ori ship even. I don't know. I mean, we can't see how wide it is. It seems like it's more of like a narrow. It might fit because it seems more of like a long ship than wide.
If only Atlantis is not going to fit.
I mean, it's bigger. Like a hive ship is bigger than Atlantis by this graphic.
And there were a few hive ships coming at Atlantis multiple times.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess from the side, it's maybe the ship is wider, but I mean, Atlantis is more as a circle where that's just like a long ship. But
yeah, I don't know if
um,
I think the hive ship probably would have been able to make it through a supergate.
yeah,
But then again,
yeah.
if in this midway scenario,
Mm-hmm.
All you have is the two little gates right there that have already kind of been set up, right? So
Mm-hmm.
would you really only be able to send puddle jumpers until you were able to get your like Daedalus and other ships out there? So you're really relying
Mm-hmm.
on puddle jumpers to puddle jumpers, X302s, anything else that you
Right.
can kind of
That
fit through
fit
the
through a
gate.
gate. Right, because it's like a series of gates, right, that leads up to like midway is supposed to be the point where you're switching from one from Pegasus to
Yeah.
is it do they call it Milky Way in the series? I don't know. Anyway,
I think so.
our galaxy, Earth's galaxy. Anyway.
Well,
Hmm.
yeah, because that'd be really interesting. Where
Mm-hmm.
I'm almost seeing like a World War II kind of like kamikaze like thing where it's hey, we're just sending troops at this until we can actually get somebody in there to fight back. And
Mm-hmm.
even if we get those people to fight back, it's not like we can really fight back against a hive ship. The Daedalus,
Right.
we can bring that graphic right back up. How
Mm-hmm.
tiny is the little thing? Where is it? I don't even see
One
it.
at the bottom there, like
Oh,
bottom right. That what's
oh,
yeah. Oops.
there we are.
Yeah, it's like oh, that's Prometheus. The Daedalus is the one
The Daedalus
above
is right
that.
above it. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't
Yeah.
realize, like, the size difference between those until I saw this graphic. And there's the
Daedalus is about
Destiny too,
half.
which the Destiny is pretty tiny, it looks, but anyway.
It's just yeah. Every time we look at this, it just puts it into perspective even
I
more
know.
as you
Yeah,
dive in.
exactly. Yeah. I mean,
Oh
puddle
my!
jumpers are pretty big, actually.
The which thing?
Is that a puddle jumper? Up I'm pointing, like, you can tell what I'm pointing at. Um,
Alkesh mid-range bomber.
okay, that's something else. Never mind. Okay.
That's a Wraith scout ship, and it's got to be
Mhm.
about the size of a scout ship.
Mhm. Yeah, because the
Same
darts or
thing.
whatever fit through the gate, right?
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Little replicator spider ship. This little dot, essentially, right
Yeah.
there.
Exactly. Mhm.
Yeah, I don't think there's a puddle jumper on here. No, I don't see one, but it's got to be in that same little tiny little
Mhm.
thing. That's
Yeah.
scout ship right here.
Yep.
Which, oof,
Mhm.
that would be an intense movie, but it would be really cool, honestly.
Mhm.
Or video game or whatever it is.
Mhm.
Just having to go out there and fight after wave after wave after wave. That would be a
Yeah.
little Star Warsy. Kind of get those like
Mhm.
red one leader, all that kind of stuff in there.
Yeah.
Um, but change it up for a little more modern Stargate. That'd be a fun way to
Mhm.
set the stage for a new thing. But I
Mhm.
don't want to wait for a video game before a movie. Just give us the movie.
Right. Yeah, I don't I mean, I mean, the video game's not gonna get made unless the show gets really popular anyway, but, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see. It'd be nice if Stargate got up there with Star Trek and Star Wars. We'll see. I think it could. I don't know if it will, but I think it's good enough to be.
I agree. I think it has
Mhm.
to. I mean, we talk about Star Trek being more tech focused. We talk about
Mhm.
Star Wars being more almost not necessarily character focused, but like focusing on its own world and its own little. It's got enough little fun little tidbits in there that things
Mhm.
happen. And same thing with Star Trek, but they approach it with the fun little techie kind of angle. Or
Mhm.
obviously Stargate is Mr. Military version of it all.
Right. Mhm.
Does it have to surpass that complete militarization of it to be a bigger series, you think? Not just inside the series as a whole,
Um,
but as do you think that's just going to keep some people from ever just diving in?
I don't think so, but I don't really know people that are like, "Oh, anything military, we can't have that." I
Well,
mean, I
well,
get why people feel that way, but it's just Stargate has been so set up on this is like a thing the Air Force was doing, and they're running it, and it's like,
okay,
they
well that
are bringing in civilian oversight. I mean, especially towards the end of the series, there's a lot more civilian oversight, which was good. Um, but it's just, I mean, that's the unique thing about Stargate too, is it's supposed to be like current day. It's not some
Mhm.
universe or far in the future. It's like right now. And I think that it being a military kind of thing fits what, the way humanity is now. It's just, how do you not have a military organization like controlling it, I guess, because
Yeah,
it seems like just the
because
state of humanity and stuff, I don't think it would
well,
have to be a guarded, protected thing.
yeah, you even get
Mhm.
into just I don't see a way around military. Just the way
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
stated that really well, because it is modern
Mhm.
day, and like
Mhm.
I feel like it ends up almost becoming the expanse in certain ways.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah, that makes yeah, it's a
but
lot more like Expanse feels more like what the future could look like.
yeah,
And I
I
guess,
mean,
Stargate could be like, this is kind of where we're starting down that road because now we have the Asgard technology and how are we gonna integrate that and
well, a lot of that's even far more advanced than expanse ever gets. Like
Mhm.
um, it might almost be St- Stargate of the future might look like the Expanse meets Star Trek.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I guess maybe I don't know if that's the right way to do it either. I was thinking maybe not just, and I don't think I meant like anti-military people. Like people are like, oh, I don't want to watch anything military wise. I just don't know
Yeah.
if military projects tend to be a four-quarter quadrant type of film or project. It's
Mhm.
typically like sometimes it's 25 and below for the male quadrant, but it's typically your 25 and above male quadrant is that military type of project.
Mhm.
And sometimes will correlate into the 25 above and 25 below on the female side of things as well.
Mhm.
Um, would it's got to be military involved, but could it almost
Mhm.
take an expanse approach with the military where you might follow a crew on a ship? You might just follow the
Right.
Daedalus crew,
Mhm.
something like that.
Yeah.
Um, But a spin brings up another good point as well as I think the movie should introduce the Stargate to the public and build off that. Then the series just dates years later where some of the technology is already implemented into public stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah. I think it still all needs to probably be on that same timeline. Like Sarah was saying, like it's a
Mhm.
modern day series with cool tech.
Yeah. And
I
if
don't know. Like
that's the whole question too is like, does the public know about it or not? Because I don't
that informs everything of
I'm
how
just
the
like,
series is.
how would I mean, if you think about, like how would the world be if that was a real thing? Like, wouldn't that just it seems like chaos would just erupt from that, or like, I mean, you'd have to really carefully do it. Like, they'd almost have to secretly like go to the UN or whatever and be like, "Hey, this is a reality," and then are you going to get all the nations of the world or whatever to be on board with the US being in control of it, or is it gonna have to be we're gonna have to rework it also that it's like a UN of Stargate or whatever,
Well, yeah, because that's got to be
um,
a big part of whatever comes next.
because if
Because
you
we used
don't
to
do that, it's like, okay, isn't like, a Putin or a Xi or whatever gonna wanna like they're gonna do whatever to get that, and how do you keep peace having
amongst,
it? Yeah,
yeah. Well,
so
would they approach like just with that thought? Would they approach Stargate going public?
yeah. Yeah.
Would how should I guess word it?
Mhm.
Would they go with a similar approach to the way SG-1 took that approach and said, hey, one nation tends to have control over this. Yeah. They probably give their allies a little bit more say and sway with what happens. Mm-hmm. But right. To keep people in check and to be friendly and keep avenues of alliances open. Be right. Friendly with nations that aren't necessarily allies, you know. Mm-hmm. Kind of like they did in SG-1, because that's okay. Well, now we're going to get a room full of ambassadors or leaders amongst each one of these nations that the respective leaders from each one of those nations trust enough to put in that room. You know, when we have
like kind of first world countries or whatever are in on,
like when Thor comes
in, and they all have a say in how it's run, how it's controlled. But it seems like it's hard for me to not think that's just going to end, that's just going to go badly, because that's such a powerful thing, the Stargate.
So my thought was, do we continue with that? Mm-hmm. Is that more? That's what was already happening, but also what was also already happening with SGA and a little bit further down in SGU and everything like that. There was more civilian leadership.
Yeah.
Does that put it in the hands of the UN? Does the UN become the de facto leaders of the Stargate command in SGC? And if that's the case,
it'd have to become an international thing, and you'd have to get, is every nation on Earth going to get on board with this, or at least act like they are, and then, just
that leads to
assault wherever the Stargates take control of it, and then,
I mean, it leads to big, giant political questions on Earth where, hey, does that mean the UN's now an actual legitimate military force that is an intergalactic military force? Right. Or is it now Stargate peacekeepers and everyone's wearing blue hats and we're not taking P90s and staff weapons into things anymore? And
or,
the more help you get,
we go to more of like a world government, kind of thing. Yeah.
Which we won't dive too far into that.
Mm-hmm.
We see how useful it is in actually helping people a lot of the times, i.e. Rwanda, Bosnia, et cetera, et cetera. They're very helpful. Definitely don't send people in to actually help countries and just give them some water after the fact, because that's the way the UN tends to approach things now. Would it be? Would the series have that almost like Avasarala like character from The Expanse, where you have to kind of check in with the global political sphere every now and then, just to kind of inform what the SG-1 or SG-12 crew, whatever we're following,
right,
can or cannot do. Okay, y'all went a little bit further down the bounds, and now we're having to send agents after you. Oh, but then the agents get to you, and okay, you are doing something good, and maybe like a little Mission Impossible. One guy's going to help you and one guy's not, and who knows where you go from there. Is something like the UN going to be a necessity with New Stargate?
If it becomes public, there would have to be some, I don't know if it's going to be exactly the UN, but there's going to be some global governance of how it's run and what it's being used for. And it's hard for me to see like that just not getting into chaos and warfare over it and stuff. I can't see doing that and keeping peace. That's why I think it's better to keep it secret. Because I mean, obviously the Stargate could do a lot of good. We can go to other worlds, get resources, medicines, technology, all of that stuff, but that also opens up, as a thing, why they have the iris and everything. It also, there's things out there that would want to come here, and we have to then worry about that as well.
Yeah. I think Stargate might be the epitome of the best example of opening a can of worms.
Yeah.
Because the Gould are a little worm-like. So, because that would be I mean, death by committee. We talk about it when we're talking about film stuff all the time. Death by committee is what kills a lot of the creativity in the industry we like to discuss all the time.
Right.
Would death by committee and a bunch of red tape in the UN sense kind of leave just as many problems as it would beneficiaries?
Yeah, that's my thinking. It's like, how do you have that and keep the peace? I don't.
Well, gig-wise, that's a good little comment. They have Asgard, Gould, Ori, and Ancient Tech now. They need a new foe.
Yeah.
What if
Furlings.
what if the foe is
Yeah.
not necessarily a new foe, but the old foes, as we have acclimated to them and figured out how to take them out, we're now the big, powerful people in the galaxy, essentially, at least Milky Way wise. What if people have acclimated to us and now they know how to take us out? The Lucian Alliance was already doing that with it in SGU, saying, hey, look, get in there with their red tape, get in there with their bureaucratic kind of leaders or their military leaders. And if you can sneak somebody onto Earth and really get them back and have them brainwashed or so on and so forth, you can do a lot of damage. And a lot of that damage might be, hey, if we're going back to the UN all the time, 3 leaders have been compromised. Which 3? No one knows.
Yeah. But
it keeps things from happening. And there might be like 5 or 6 or 7 different characters you might think could be those 3, you know? And there could be little fun like Teal PI kind of thing in the background. That'd be fun. Or he's got to figure out what's going on. That I don't see them being able to work around something like that necessarily. They're going to have to, especially with SGU and SGA being so civilian led, that it's going to have to maybe not be a UN, but like you said, like a coalition of governance, a global governance.
Yeah.
Hey, the GGC, Global Governance Coalition. There you go. We got you.
Name of the new show.
As SGGGC.
Too many letters.
What's going on now? To give people strokes just trying to figure out what the actual title of the series is.
It's the Stargate alphabet.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, S. And then the sequel, HIJKLMNOP.
Yeah.
When we get to QRS, just watch out, you know? They've got to acknowledge that. But like we say, is that if they don't let the gate be public knowledge, but they do say we have the ability to travel space and we have space travel, we have ships, so on and so forth. Does that I think the UN I can't speak. The UN bureaucracy aspect or that giant red tape of things would still be there nonetheless. Yeah. And if that's the case, does every nation know that Stargates exist, or do the nations that we know that it exists?
Right.
And
like we just smaller group, a select, you know, a little bit of expansion on what we've already seen in the show with like sort of the big nations of the world are like in on it, and a lot of the other smaller nations or less stable nations do not have, you know. And then there's the whole thing too of like you could get a crazy religious angle to it, you know, where people think it's like, you know, want to worship the gate, or I don't know if worship the gate, but you know, like see it as divine or something God gave us, or something that's evil, that's, you know, whatever, you know, just whatever you know, you could get religious fanatics about it too going crazy.
Well, the slightest of Mission Impossible spoilers, not just for this one, but for the last movie, the Reckoning movies, at least, they both have a little bit to do with AI. The entity is like the villain in here is like this AI that's gone rogue, essentially. Things going rogue in Mission Impossible? What? But in the new one, there are people that after this AI has gone public and kind of started to do certain things and mess with the global atmosphere, there are people who have almost religiously gotten in tune with the AI. Not a whole bunch, you know, but like there's definitely that like small little sect of people that are this is our new god now, essentially. Like if it controls all of everything technology based on this planet, we devote ourselves to it, you know, is kind of the way that those people approach that. First of all, what is the already fun, kooky UFO community that we love and enjoy and have plenty of friends and people in, of course? What would they think about this coming public? Would they be a new almost subset of leaders amongst people? Would these religious kind of fanatics, or not necessarily fanatics, but would these people that would be seeking out, okay, this is a whole bunch of new information and it debunks all of the things that I've thought my entire life. So how do I approach that now? Would they go to those kind of is Roswell, New Mexico about to be some new Mecca or something like that? Like there would be
a conspiracy theory community. I mean, it would be leaked out there, but whether or not people would believe it is some people would believe it, some people wouldn't.
Well, it would be interesting, especially if the gate was not released and just the space travel aspect of things were released. And then you might have those same people make theories, talk about those same people that would be like fanatical about like the new technology. Okay, they're a new species. We get to go meet in space, and we have the potential to go to the stars ourselves now. Whoever. Obviously, they would look towards those guys and stuff, but what question just completely brain farted out of my head there. I was setting the question up, and in the setup, I lost the actual question. The fanatical people would be doing something. I don't trying to jog the memory.
But we're talking about not just the knowledge of the gate, but just like they're slowly kind of like, all this new technology, they're releasing it instead of like, okay, we already know, all this advanced stuff, but we have to release it at a slow pace and make it look like maybe we came up with it rather than it's just something we got from an alien database.
I think they try that. But the second they get into space and they have citizens of Earth going to space, what happens when they meet a Jaffa or Tok'ra or anybody in the Losing Alliance? That bubble would be burst pretty quickly, I think. So I don't know if they would take that approach.
Right.
And because if they did, that would also cause a lot of issues, which would be fun to figure out. Like, okay, well now is the Earth government or global government, GGC or whoever it is, are these people worth trusting? They were hiding this from us, and now they're keeping this. I thought civilians were in charge now, however you could frame that. But I guess also if the gate is also still not exposed and just all of this technology is, those same people that would be gravitating towards like your Roswells and your kind of UFO kind of folk, they've all seen Wormhole Extreme. We know they're the type of people who would have watched Wormhole Extreme, especially if that's an actual TV show in their world.
Right.
Does that not expand the conspiracy theory type-esque of people that would be? Would that not almost cause like a smaller NID of some sort, but like in specific communities? Like,
I don't know. Or like like Wormhole Extreme is like a way to introduce this stuff, to put the ideas of the different kinds of technology in people's heads, and then whatever. Anyway, just the whole, the puppet masters or Illuminati kind of thing going on, whatever. But
the second all this stuff would be released, there would definitely be a good chunk of the world like, okay, y'all have known about this for a long time. Why have you been hiding it from us? And that would be do we even need to cover that in Stargate, or would Stargate be best almost glossing over it to a degree and saying like, oh yeah, Earth's dealing with it over here, but we're not really dealing with the Earth politics. Like we might have an episode here or there to make sense of what we're doing.
Right.
But let's stay on Atlantis in the Pegasus Galaxy, or let's jump through the gate and go to some cool world or something like that.
Right. Keep it, like a adventure sci-fi series and not get all bogged down with the politics. But I mean, it is interesting because, like, how do you deal with that in the background? Because that is something that kind of has to be addressed, even if it just stays in the background.
Well, and I guess, and almost to correlate it into what Joshua and Jay were talking about yesterday with Star Trek, Strange New Worlds being a 10-episode season instead of that 20-episode season. So that way, when you get your 3 silly episodes or your 3 zany, just different episodes within that season, there's no room for those anymore. Like you are taking away from legitimate good story to be told, and not necessarily saying that those stories aren't great to be told, but hey, even Joshua saying like he loves Kurtz, he's the Kurtzman shill and is called that all the time. Like he still wasn't even a fan of having to like listen to the Klingon stuff, have to be told through story, or the story, at least the plot, be told through singing like that. And and I think we all kind of agree to some degree where, okay, if you're only going to give us 10 episodes, we would like those episodes to be a little more focused. We all want fun episodes. We all want cool things, but give us those 20 episode seasons if you're going to do that. With this, with putting the Stargate lens back on, and we didn't even have like a whole bunch of those episodes throughout Stargate, but we get the episode with Kinsey where we figured out, okay, he's announcing his run for presidency from VP. He's doing all these different things. Then we get the episode that, hey, we finally got a new president. Thankfully, it's not Kinsey, and big thankfully is not Kinsey. And at that point, we have a whole episode about this president figuring out the Stargate exists. This is real. What are you going to do? How do you want to handle it? So on and so forth.
Yeah.
That just expands it into a larger field of politicalization. Do we want to spend an episode a season on that? If we're only going to get 8 episodes or 10 episodes? We had those 20 episode seasons. It makes sense to only spend that 1 or 2 episodes on it because it's like, okay.
Well, I think you have to do at least 1 episode because otherwise it's like, okay, how does the Stargate program, how is that fitting in the everyday world,
Yeah, I guess the follow-up question to that is, how do you do that episode without it being the worst rated episode in an 8-episode series or a 10-episode series?
Yeah, that's
a little bit difficult. Obviously, now we're kind of thinking like showrunner or something like that. Whoever is actually writing this would be.
Yeah.
But it's going to have to be thought about.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, I guess you could go with the most rosy outlook that, like, Earth is just gonna all come together on it and it's gonna be cool and there isn't gonna be, and just go with that and then focus on just, Stargate Adventures or whatever. That would probably be the best thing to do, but it's kind of like simple.
I don't know. It would be best because still with SG1, even though we only get those 1 or 2 almost a season, kind of like political episodes to make sure like everything's making sense of, okay, they got their funding here and we got this, and okay, Russia's mad here, so they want to be part of this team, and now we're like going at it together, and okay, now the UK wants to send a person over here, and okay, we got a Scottish guy on SGA, whatever, I keep trying to frame a question a certain way, I guess, but I guess does that keep I I don't know. I lost my question in the middle of it. I had about 4 thoughts all at once there.
You got
I
lost
guess
in the rabbit holes.
they've all converged. I'm waiting for the rabbit holes to meet at the same tunnel again. Just it's something. Oh, that's what I was thinking. There we go. Like it is. We had the 1 or 2 episodes in those 20 episode seasons, and would I think kind of glossing over it in like a fun kind of way might actually be a disservice, because even with those 24 episode seasons, they still had those small political episodes, and even whenever they're talking politics throughout the season, there was always weight. Like, there's weight to what they're talking about. They make sure it is pertinent and it is still something that everybody in that series has to think about on a mission, almost by mission basis. I don't know if just kind of having fun with it would be the right way to do it, but I also don't know how you, especially in today's, well, with the writing sensibilities of modern writers as well, I don't know how you get back to the adventure without adding a little extra politics in there.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it has to be our modern politics superseded into the show or anything like that, but just the politics of what globally would be happening within the show at the time.
Yeah. It'd have to be mixed in there somehow, because you can't just ignore that, like, the real world exists out there. You can't just be in this little Stargate command bubble and, nothing is affecting you. Yeah.
Do you think an Avasarala-like character from The Expanse would be nice to see almost translated in a way into Stargate, whatever it comes next? Just to have that kind of, instead of having to check in like, okay, let's go sit on the entire UN Security Council or something like that.
Right. Yeah,
the
just
GDC
have that.
Security Council.
Maybe they show that once so we know it exists.
Yes.
But yeah, have one person that's like a voice for that group. That would be, you'd almost kind of have to do that just to keep it
simple, stupid, right?
Simple. Yeah, just keeping it more simple for the show to have like, okay, she's met with all these people and now she's coming to you and telling them what, what they want or what we should do, or, and then what happens if, the military wants to do one thing and the council wants to do another thing. And how do they resolve that? And does, because that could go bad. But I think they would avoid maybe that kind of thing. But yeah.
Well, would they? I guess, because not necessarily Ford got into that with SGA, but they touched on like similar topics in SGA, I guess, just at a smaller level, because it was, a little small world outside of everything. Its own bubble per se. I don't know how they don't touch on it. And not only that, by the end of SG1, we were not only having 1 or 2 episodes a season about Earth's politics, but 1 or 2 or 3 episodes a season about Chulak and all these other places' politics.
Yeah, there's political stuff going on, and then does that UN council or whatever, are they working? Are they working with other alien races on making treaties or whatever with all these other races of people out in the universe?
Well, that's a good point. If we're allying with all these different people, would a Braytak or some other Jaffa leader not be on the GGC council or whatever?
Like you'd have to almost expand it to like, maybe there is an Earth one, but there's also a larger kind of galaxy on top, over that, like each of these different races have their own UN groups or whatever.
Yeah, instead of well, I guess what's the technical title? It's just the 5 races, right? Is that what they call themselves?
Yeah, because humans were going to be the 5th race, or we had achieved
Oh,
or almost had achieved becoming the
was it
5th race or something.
the Treaty of the 4 Races, or what was it then? And we were the
Mhm.
5th race, essentially?
Yeah, because it was the what were the races? Well,
Furling,
the
Nox,
Asgard was it the Goa'uld?
Asgard. No. Asgard, Ancient, Furling, Nox.
Oh, that's right. Those guys, yeah.
Or Alteran at the time, I guess, before Ancient.
Right, yeah.
They wouldn't call themselves Ancient, I guess.
Mhm,
And yeah, we became the 5th species, but in that
mhm.
same sense, we would still fit within the 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 Treaty of the 5 Species, or whatever, like the new
Right,
title
yeah.
is called.
Mhm,
But the Gua'uld don't, the Tok'ra don't,
yeah,
the Jaffa
mhm,
don't, the Lucian
mhm.
Alliance don't, the Unas don't,
Right.
the Omorakans from
You
earlier
know,
don't.
yeah.
All
The
these other
other
people,
yeah,
species
the other races out there, yeah.
don't. So would, instead of a
Mhm,
GGC, because that would be one thing, you almost have the GGC, and you'd have your
mhm.
Avasarala character jump into space and have to almost go up to the IGC, the Intergalactic Governance Coalition, or
Right,
something like that.
yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
and we're just making alliterations and acronyms like nobody's business today. But so far they're working.
Yeah, yeah.
it,
And it's
it,
not like all this political, stuff would be like, that's just captivating television right there. You know? We're talking about, like, what has to be going on in the background. Well,
well, and to make it
yeah.
captivating, even with like the Jaffa
Mhm.
stuff, the Jaffa
Right.
politicalization on Shulak and everything, how'd
Mhm.
they make that more interesting? Oh yeah, they brought the Ori in there to take over some of their leaders,
Mhm.
and something like that.
Yeah.
There would totally be some aspect of that going on.
Yeah,
That
there's always
might,
and then, there's always gonna be, gold in there trying to mess things up and get their power or whatever.
well, it
So,
would the galaxy include the Goa'uld just to keep them in check
yeah, you'd almost
and bring the Tok'ra up to the same level? Like,
right. Yeah.
there aren't a whole bunch of Goa'uld left.
Mhm.
Maybe if you could keep them in
Yeah.
check, they wouldn't be as
Mm,
much of a danger in the future. It would be the thought process, or
right. I mean, it'd be impossible to just have, peace throughout the galaxy or
Mhm.
the galaxies, I guess. That's gonna be really difficult.
Well, one thing
'Cause
that
why
would,
would Earth be the one that would have to take the leadership on that anyway, I guess? I don't know, because we have
we're the strongest, most
the
capable, I think,
technology or whatever? I don't know,
tech-wise.
but yeah.
Well, unless anybody was
Mm.
able to that. Now we're just thinking about B plots and C plots because,
Right, yeah.
hey,
Get into the
somebody has
deep
to have
dive.
reworked some of that Ori technology at some point.
Oh, yeah, like, because well, it could cause illness, but it also, like, could heal people
Heal
too,
all
right?
kinds of
So
things.
wouldn't you yeah.
Well,
And
a lot
then
of
I
that's
mean, there's
not.
just all things that can go amok with the technology and how it's used, and
A
there's
lot of that's not
a
tech though.
lot there you could dig into, you know?
Well,
Yeah.
how are they not fully ascended, and how are they using
Mhm.
ascension like powers to fuel their tech? It would be a good
Right.
kind of question.
Mhm.
Somebody would have had to have at least attempted to rework all that.
Mhm.
And it might have taken them. How long has Stargate been off the air? 13, 15 years? It might have taken them
Mhm.
15 years to do it, or whatever.
Yeah.
And that would be a reasonable amount of time to have
Mhm.
to figure something out like that, and rework that. And that would be an interesting little B plot of stuff. But um, it would make even more sense if, like, an IGC had been formed, an intergalactic governance coalition or something like that, where,
Mhm.
okay, yeah, we might not all be friends all the time, and Earth is at war with the Lucian Alliance, and Lucian Alliance is at war with Earth, and everyone
Mhm.
still doesn't like the Goa'uld, and hey, if we see one, we'll probably take them out. But like something
Right.
like that, where, okay, all of this is happening, and we understand it's happening. We'll keep each other in check to some degree,
Mhm.
but the Ori did happen. It was the one thing
Yeah.
that brought the galaxy together.
Yeah.
Do is it in everyone's best interest to have that IGC and make it work to some degree, of course, to make sure something like that weren't to happen again. Because I know the Wraith made it to Earth just the once or got close to it or whatever right there at the end of SGA.
Mm-hmm.
But if, like we just saw, if the Ori ship is this big,
Oops,
and the Wraith ship is, excuse me. Oh, come on, sidebar. There we go. That big.
Yeah.
They send 100
Ori
of those
ship
at
right there.
us.
It's like half, like, yeah.
If they send 100 of those at us,
right,
the whole galaxy's screwed.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if they do more than that, send 100 hive ships, and I don't know how big those ships were that I guess those were the hive ships, the ones that carried all the clones that were almost hibernating in there. Just go to different planets across the Milky Way and just start dropping them. They're going to feed like nobody's business. That would be a vested interest to have the IGC. Because that feeding would be terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, you could almost say that, the Wraith are the biggest threat to the galaxy, and
it would be really interesting if the Wraith did, make it to the planet where the Unis are from and the Goa'uld are from. And they walked up close to that little puddle of water.
Yep. There you go. Ah.
Which parasite wins?
Yeah, it's just a lot of I think a lot of that you just have to kind of okay, we just won't think too much about that. We'll just, stick with the main focus here, of the SG teams or whatever. Yeah.
I'm getting us live on the old Twitters and just looking over there real quick too. But talking about the B plots and C plots, something that would work. Obviously, I think what we've talked about most in the last 20-30 minutes, honestly, is probably the B plot of whatever ends up happening.
Oh yeah,
to some degree.
Or it's a thing that's got to be figured out of how what's going on with all of that in the background to then know the framework they're kind of working in, Uh-oh.
To just inform it. Did I move for a second?
You glitched for a second, but you're okay.
Uh-oh. Yeah, I know we've been talking about stuff, but y'all have any more ideas for things? Toss them in there.
I know people have been chatting away here. I'm trying to kind of look at
have they? I haven't seen an updated chat since 11.
I know in StreamYard, yeah, Quest said something's weird with StreamYards, and I think the comments they're still coming up on YouTube fine. So I have the YouTube stream pulled up over here too.
Okay, because I was
so all the comments are coming in there just fine.
Well, okay, let me do something really quickly. I'm gonna just drop out for half a second and drop right back in.
Okay.
You got it for 2 seconds?
All right. 2-second break.
Almost. Wait, what? Leave?
Oh, there he goes. Will he come back? Or am I running things now? Well, Earth destroyed the system lords, but wouldn't their new system lords arise, like younger Goa'uld grow up and become system lords? Because can any Goa'uld become a system lord if they gain the power to do so, or are there different types of Goa'uld, like some that are born to be system lords and some that are born to not? Uh-oh. I hope we didn't lose Harris forever. Is everything working okay and with you guys? You're seeing me okay? You can chat and stuff? Didn't somebody say earlier? I can't select comments because I don't have that power. But didn't somebody say something about Sam Carter being president? Which that would be awesome. They should do that. Welcome to the Sarah Show. Yep. Uh-oh. Harris is saying it's not letting him back in. No healthy upstream. All right. So what am I supposed to do, Harris? Are we going to have to everything seems fine on my end, but yeah, I did notice on StreamYard shows us the comments too, as well as watching it on YouTube, but it's not, hasn't updated in a while. I can leave the studio. Should I try doing that? But are we going to have to like put up a new stream? What do I need to do, Harris? Should I try leaving the studio? It might mean that we're going to have to start up a new one? Like end of this stream and start a new one? We may have a rogue stream. All right, Harris, should I try leaving and coming back in? I can't end it. It just says I can leave the studio. I don't know if that will end it. Oops, here we go. Oh. Hello. Talking to Harris. Hi.
So every time, I did send the link to Melvin as well. So I think he was confirming on there that it just whenever I try to bring up StreamYards, nothing happens. It goes to a white screen and says no healthy upstream. I would hope if you left the stream, it would technically end. My worry is we might literally have a rogue stream on our hands if that's the case. Because if it doesn't end, we're just kind of stuck, I guess, with a stream just going. We'll see if that just ends the stream.
Okay. I'm going to try leaving you guys, so we'll see what happens. Maybe we'll be back. Maybe we won't. We'll let you know. All right, here I go. I'm clicking right now.